What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Earlier this week, on Wednesday, we started our Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft, going through every single team, talking about the picks that I would make. We're going to continue that series on Monday or Tuesday, not 100% sure right now, probably Monday, but we will see. Basically, the plan is to go through and alternate, so the Dynasty video and then this video, which is going to be just talking about the biggest news around the NFL. We're going to go division by division. Today's going to be the AFC and the NFC North. So we're going to talk about all of the teams there. What were the biggest moves, at least for fantasy, for these teams during the offseason. And we'll just alternate. So we'll do the Dynasty video, we'll do this, Dynasty video, this, make our way through, and that'll bring us to the NFL draft. So today, also on the screen, you guys can see the graphic for Underdog. It's going to say get a free like $10 or something like that. I just haven't updated the graphic yet. Didn't have time to before doing this video. I believe the current deal is just any deposit you make up to $100, they're going to match it, which is better than the deal you see on the screen. Just use promo code FFA. So if you want to do anything on Underdog, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. That's just free money. Just got to use promo code FFA when signing up, and it's only for your first account. So let's go division by division. Baltimore Ravens up first. They re-signed Tyson Williams. It doesn't really matter. Only reason I bring that up is, of course, they have the running backs getting back healthy. Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. If they also have Tyson Williams now, it just gives us a little bit more confidence that, like, that's going to be the backfield, right? And we just like knowing that, hey, they're not going to go out and draft running back really early. Their GM did say that they would take a running back if the right guy fell to them. I would think it would just have to be a massive deal. I think they do still trust Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, and so I'm still expecting those two to be the very clear leads in the backfield. We'll obviously see during the draft. Said that those two might open camp on the pup, but they're not going to open the season on the pup. Right? I think those guys are going to be totally fine come July, come August. Obviously, we will monitor those situations, but I'm still expecting that to be the backfield. They re-signed Patrick Ricard. Good news for the ground game. They signed Zadarius Smith, Marcus Williams. They're getting Marcus Peters back. Good news overall for the ground game as well. If their defense, gets back to being really, really, really good, that is always good for running backs, right? Because there's a better chance that they are forcing 3 and outs, getting the ball back, better chance that they're winning football games. And when you're winning football games, that's good for the ground game. So overall, positive news for Gus Edwards, for J.K. Dobbins this offseason. No other real big news for the Ravens. I think in general, we're going to see their offense look very, very similar to what it was last season. For the most part, we know what this offense is going to be. Not too much is going to change besides, of course, getting their running backs back healthy. Cincinnati Bengals up next, coming off their best season in quite some time. Joe Burrow suffered an MCL sprain in the Super Bowl. That's a fairly short-term injury. He'll be perfectly fine once camp starts. Do not worry at all about that. They also signed Hayden Hurst this offseason. CJ Uzomah signed with the Jets, and so they just needed a replacement there. I think this deal makes a lot of sense. It's just like a 1-year deal, $3.5 million, so there's no risk for the team. He's like a decent weapon in the receiving game. Of course, he's been a bust in the NFL, but I don't know. I think he was just someone that they knew they didn't have to rely on the tight end position all that much. Just someone to go out there, catch a few balls every game. I don't think we're going to be like aggressively targeting Hurst in fantasy, but it's obviously like one of, if not the best landing spots he could have had, right? So he gets another chance for his career. They signed Lyle Collins. This is a fantastic upgrade at right tackle. They have plenty of weapons on offense now. They don't really need more receiving talent. They don't need more running back talent. And so it just made sense on offense. The next most logical thing to start upgrading was the offensive line. Obviously, upgrading the offensive line is good for every skill player. This is just going to be another team that looks very similar to last season, right? Makes sense because they had a relatively young offense and they made it to the Super Bowl. Why would you change very much if you don't need to? And so this offense is going to run pretty much the same as we used to. Very exciting offense there. Next up, the Cleveland Browns, who certainly made some moves this offseason. The biggest obviously being Deshaun Watson. They gave him a 5-year, $230 million deal. 100% of that money is fully guaranteed. They also made his base salary for this season just $1 million, meaning that he's not going to lose really any money if he's suspended. On that note, yes, he can still be suspended. Remember, Roger Goodell can do whatever he wants. He just has like sole power in that area, and he's highly unpredictable. Like, I genuinely have no clue what the punishment is going to be. It could be anything from 0 games to the entire season. Literally anywhere in between that is possible. I think that something is going to leak as they get closer to a decision, but I just don't think they're even like relatively close right now, so we're not seeing anything leak. I also think that Roger Goodell is going to wait for a lot of these like court cases to be resolved before he makes a decision. Doesn't want to do anything prematurely, so we just might not know for a little bit. I'm gonna assume that he'll miss at least part of the season, but that's really just a guess, right? It's impossible to know what Roger Goodell is going to decide, at least as of right now. When Watson does play, he's absolutely going to elevate the offense. I think people are a little too hard on Baker at times, but we know that Baker Mayfield is not an elite quarterback, and we know that Watson's going to unlock some things in this offense that Baker just wasn't capable of doing, and that's obviously good for every skill player. They also traded for Amari Cooper. All they had to give up was a 5th-round pick and then swap 6th-round picks, so a very, very cheap cost for him. Then they restructured his contract for cap purposes, so he should be in Cleveland for about the next 3 years. He will immediately be the wide receiver 1, obviously. And as of right now, it's only Donovan Peoples-Jones and Jakeem Grant behind him, so they're definitely not, like, done. I would say adding receivers, like, I suppose it's possible that that's how they enter the season, but my best guess is that they're adding at least one more receiver. I don't think they can really spend a lot of money, but maybe they can go out on some of their draft picks, go out and draft another receiver to add in behind. I would say behind Donovan Peoples-Jones. Like, I think they can still enter the season with Amari, then DPJ, and then someone else. I just don't think they want Jakeem Grant to be that third option. But regardless, we'll just see who they end up adding. I would imagine that Amari Cooper will be like a late 2nd to early 3rd round pick, assuming maybe like a very small suspension or no suspension from Watson. And then obviously, like, as that grows, let's say we got like a 8-game suspension, you might see Amari Cooper's ADP drop a little bit more. But one thing I want to note on that, he did sign Jacoby Brissett, and like, obviously any games Brissett plays, that's a downgrade quarterback, right? That no one's gonna argue that. But Brissett's like a capable backup. You know, he's been a backup on multiple teams. He's not awful, right? They're not going to a complete 0 in that area. And so I wonder if people overreact. Maybe they won't, but you got to realize that, like, let's say it's like a 6-game suspension. You're not taking a 0 from Amari Cooper for 6 games. You're still having an NFL caliber quarterback. Someone at one point showed promise. We know he's not going to start at this point, but a capable backup. You're getting that for 6 games, and then you're getting Amari Cooper with Watson. So we'll see how it actually works out, but don't be like terrified, like, oh, I can't even play him in the games they suspended. Well, no. I mean, Amari Cooper's still going to be fine. Browns also lost Austin Hooper and are looking to re-sign David Njoku. That has not happened yet. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I don't know when, but I'm sure Njoku is going to be their starting tight end. Obviously, again, big upgrade going from Baker to Watson. Would be really, really nice if he did enter the season as the clear tight end 1. We have yet to see him have that breakout season, but we know he's capable. Athletically, we know he's capable. We know he can have a season where he posts, like top 5 tight end numbers. I don't know if that's going to happen. Let's see how camp happens. Let's see what their final depth chart is. But I'm very excited if he can enter the season as a tight end 1. Going to be really, really good in fantasy. Last up in the AFC North is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Biggest news out of their camp so far has probably been Mitchell Trubisky, honestly. Signed him to a 2-year, $14 million contract. Only about $5 million of that is guaranteed. I think that they'll be fine. Like, I think they're okay with having him play the whole season. Basically, drafting someone, saying we don't need to throw this quarterback out there if they're not ready early, midway through the season. Maybe they can close the season. I think they're fine saying, Trubisky, play for us this year as like a bridge quarterback and get us to whoever the rookie is. Obviously, it depends who they end up drafting, how that player develops, how that player looks in camp in the preseason, if that's going to happen or not. For fantasy, it's honestly not even that big of a downgrade because, like, yes, in PPR formats, like, we're not getting a billion 5-yard targets from Big Ben, but now they might be able to push the ball down the field like 10 yards, right? Like, I don't think Trubisky is all that good, obviously, and I don't think any quarterback they bring in as a rookie is going to go out there and support high-end fantasy numbers for multiple weapons. I just don't think that's possible. It's just not in the range of outcomes. But Big Ben was also terrible. And so it's not going to be just this huge cliff. Again, in PPR formats, it was great having all of those tiny receptions, but at least now there's a possibility that someone can throw the ball downfield. I think you're probably preferring a rookie over Trubisky because Trubisky is, again, not that good. We know his ceiling, and he's also going to run the ball, which takes away targets from running backs, takes away targets from really everyone. And so you probably prefer a rookie, but we'll see what happens in that area. That's probably the biggest news, that their quarterback is different. They also signed Gunnar Olszewski. He, of course, was on the Patriots last season, was almost cut last summer due to just poor performance, just wasn't all that good. A little embarrassing, too, because the Patriots wide receiver core was so bad. Like, almost being cut from that is embarrassing. He was supposed to be the Edelman replacement. That clearly did not work out. He's good on special teams, good punt returner. But, if they're trying to fill, this hole that they have now, no more Juju, no more James Washington, no more Ray McLeod. Like, if they're trying to fill that with Gunner, they're probably going to be disappointed in that level of production. Maybe he, improves as a player. Maybe he gets better over the offseason. But I would imagine that it's not going to be Deontay, Claypool, and Gunner. I'm thinking that number 3 is going to be a little bit different. On to the North. Well, we're already in the North, actually. But the NFC North. I'm going to start off with the Chicago Bears. Bears' big splash this offseason has not really been much of a splash. Byron Pringle and Equinemius St. Brown. They also, of course, lost Allen Robinson in free agency, and I believe lost as well Damian Williams. So, right now, they had a below-average wide receiver core last season, and they lost Allen Robinson. Like, there's just no way you can allow Justin Fields, basically in a season that the reports are like, this is his season, right? This is like them saying, hey, we want to figure out if you're a quarterback for the future. So show us something, right? And if you're forcing him to do that with Mooney, Pringle, and St. Brown, obviously you're just setting him up to fail, right? So I think it is a lock that they draft at least one wide receiver in this upcoming draft. Maybe they draft multiple because you can't evaluate him properly if he's throwing. Mooney's good, but also Mooney should probably be a number 2 receiver. Pringle should not be a number 2. He should probably be a number 3. And St. Brown shouldn't even be on the field. Okay, so they're going to need to add other weapons. They just got to support him. It's kind of unfortunate almost because, I think Byron Pringle's good. I think he could be good in fantasy. But, we know that Justin Fields is not supporting, 3 starting fantasy wide receivers. And so when they bring someone in, I just think it's going to be Mooney and whoever they draft. Those are really the only guys we're going to be looking at. Maybe Cole Kmet and obviously the running backs as well. Then speaking of the running backs, I mentioned that Damian Williams left. I believe he's going to the Falcons. Now we're going to have Khalil Herbert as the very clear handcuff, very clear backup. He's going to be someone we're looking at late in fantasy because I think Herbert's really good. And I think that any time that Montgomery misses, you're getting production from Herbert. So it's one of those cases where he's one of the handcuffs I like to get. And obviously, you guys know my stance on handcuffs. I like to take him on teams where I didn't take Montgomery. So Herbert's going to be a guy we're looking at this season. That's really it for the Bears. For the Lions, biggest splash probably DJ Chark joining the team. Current top 3 is Moner St. Brown, Chark, and Josh Reynolds. Another situation that I'm not sure that's going to be their starting wide receiver core. That's a bit thin in my opinion. I think they're going to go out and get someone else as well. Maybe even multiple draft wide receivers, but kind of depends on how they view Chark, right? We're kind of viewing Chark as hey, maybe he's going to be good, right? Maybe they're viewing him as no, this guy is our number 2. We're only going out and drafting our number 3. Kind of depends how he looks when he gets there. My take, though, is that's how they view him, is a let's see what this kid has. Let's see if we can like translate his physical traits. He's a really, really athletic wide receiver. Let's see if we can translate that into our number 2. Because again, Amon-Ra St. Brown is still their number 1. But we'll see who they draft on that front. I believe they have 2 very early second round picks. And that's kind of a range where like one of the elite wide receivers might fall to. And so I think they might end up taking a receiver on one of those picks. Other than that, pretty quiet off season. There's been a little bit of talk about quarterback for this team, but their GM kind of shot that down, basically saying like Goff's our guy. I think they could still draft a quarterback, but that their full intention, I think, is for Goff to play out this season. So for Goff to be the starting quarterback all of this year, have that rookie quarterback develop, and then maybe next year after that, that's when the rookie would be taking over. I really don't think they're looking to draft someone to start right away for Jared Goff. I think we should expect Goff to be the starting quarterback this season. On to a team that definitely did make some moves. We've got the Green Bay Packers. Big news, obviously, trading away Devonta Adams. They traded picks the Raiders traded picks 22 and 53 in exchange for Devonta Adams. They also gave him a 5-year, $140 million contract, $65 million of that fully guaranteed. So obviously, given that Adams was the entire receiving game, really, for the past few seasons, the Packers need some help in that area. I mean, they also lost MVS free agency, goes to the Chiefs, 3 years, $30 million deal, although it's like effectively a $1 million deal since most of that money's backloaded. Chiefs can get out of the contract pretty easily after this year, but point remains. Lose Adams, lose MVS, current depth chart, Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Amari Rodgers. That is gross. Luckily, Packers have 4 draft picks inside the top 60, including 22 and 28. I would be shocked if they did not draft at least one wide receiver with those 4. And I would also be shocked if they did not draft wide receiver at either 22 or 28. One of those picks is going to be a wide receiver. And whoever that is, we're going to end up loving. Could be Drake London if he falls. Could be Jameson Williams, Chris Olave. So it's like weird. I'm hoping it's Treylon Burks because I'm just starting to fall in love with this kid. I've already moved him up to, if you guys saw the video before, I've changed the rankings. I've moved Burks up to my wide receiver 1 in Dynasty for the rookie drafts. I want to almost be like on an island there, and I think that if he goes to the Packers, I will not be on an island. I think it is very, very likely that everyone's going to jump on board, but I think he's going to dominate. I mean, I think he's going to have a phenomenal career, at least while Rodgers is there, if he goes to the Packers. So would I rather him go somewhere else, and so not everyone jumps on that bandwagon? Yes, but man, he could be really, really good if he's playing with Rodgers. But point remains, we're going to look at this depth chart, and it's going to be very different after the draft. Tunyon also apparently had a schedule in his ACL recovery. That's very good. Could return, remains on track right now to return for week 1. And of course, I just said they lost all these weapons. They might have to use Tunyon, especially in the red zone, because Adams was like their entire offense in the red zone, at least for the receiving game. Tunyon might need a large red zone role, so we'll see how his recovery occurs, basically. Final team, got to go over today, is the Minnesota Vikings, though they've had a very quiet offseason. They restructured Adam Thielen's contract, so still not a guarantee he finishes that contract final 3 years with the team, but they made some moves to have a better cap hit this season, with Thielen going to be on the team again this year. I alluded to before, or maybe I didn't. No. I alluded to the Jets got CJ Uzomah from the Bengals. Well, the Jets also got Tyler Conklin from the Vikings, so the Jets just loading up on mediocre tight ends, right? But this opens up Irv Smith. We were very excited about Irv Smith last offseason. Of course, he gets injured, misses the entire season. If they don't do anything at tight end, and we have Irv Smith as the clear lead tight end in, again, a very consolidated offense in Minnesota. It's Thielen, it's Jefferson, it's Irv Smith in the receiving game with the running back sprinkling in. Ooh, that could be really, really nice. This could be the breakout again. He's only turning 24 this season, still very young, very good receiving threat, very heavy on him. Also seems like the Vikings offense might be more pass heavy this season. The new offensive coordinator made some comments that suggest that he values passing a little bit more than running. So file that under things you'll love to see. The Vikings haven't been top 10 in pass attempts per game since 2018, finishing in the bottom 6 in 2 of the last 3 years. Justin Jefferson could put up just like disgusting numbers if they push for like the upper 30s in pass attempts per game. Oh my goodness. It could be fun to watch. But we'll see if those comments are true. We'll see if more news comes out about this over the summer. That's about it for the Vikings so far this offseason. And that's the last team we're going to go over today. I will again be back either Monday or Tuesday with round 2 of our Dynasty rookie draft. And then like Wednesday, Thursday, we'll be looking at the AFC and NFC South. So again, that's what we're going to do. Round 2, AFC, NFC South. Then we'll do round 3. We'll do like the East or the West. I don't know which one. And we'll continue doing that. Remember, right now you can get any package on the website, 20% off now through the end of April. Just got to use promo code FFA. So that'll get you both Underdog and my website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. Remember, Underdog, they'll match your deposit up to $100. My website for like Dynasty content, redraft content, content for Underdog, helping you on there, 20% off now through the end of April using promo code FFA. So that'll do it for this one. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about hitting that like button? How about subscribing to the channel if you're new here? Thanks for watching.